Hidden beneath the emerald canopy lies a labyrinth of earthwork corridors so vast they dwarf modern highways, and number 1 is something almost nobody guesses. Stay tuned to uncover the ultimate secret. Unearthed through high-resolution LiDAR scans, the Yanomami linear terraces stretch for dozens of kilometers along the Rio Negro Basin, forming parallel ridges that rise up to 3 meters above the forest floor. Researchers believe these terraces were engineered to improve drainage and create arable plots in an area where seasonal flooding can submerge low-lying land for weeks. The pattern's regularity suggests coordinated communal labor, perhaps overseen by a central authority, a notion that challenges the traditionally held view of Yanomami societies as loosely organized bands. Soil samples reveal layers of compacted earth mixed with charcoal, indicating controlled burning to stabilize the surfaces. While some scholars argue the terraces could be natural erosional features, the consensus leans toward deliberate construction, given their uniform spacing and alignment with ancient pathways identified nearby. This discovery reshapes our perception of how indigenous groups adapted to and transformed one of the planet's most challenging environments.
Surveyed using a combination of drone photogrammetry and ground-penetrating radar, the Marañón River embankments consist of massive earthen walls that run parallel to the river's meanders for over 15 kilometers. Estimated to be up to 6 meters tall, these structures appear designed to redirect seasonal floodwaters, protecting cultivated terraces and settlement zones situated on the river's inner bends. Archaeologists have found ceramic fragments and charcoal deposits within the embankments, dating them to roughly 1,200 years ago, though the exact chronology remains debated due to limited radiocarbon samples. The engineering precision, particularly the consistent slope gradient, suggests a sophisticated understanding of hydrology. Some hypothesize that the embankments also serve defensive purposes, acting as barriers against rival groups navigating the river. Regardless of their primary function, the scale of earthmoving required hints at a sizable, organized workforce, indicating that complex societal structures existed far earlier than previously documented in this remote part of the Amazon.
Satellite imagery first highlighted the Cerro del Diablo grid as a striking checkerboard of raised earth platforms intersecting at near-right angles across a steep ridge in the upper Andes Amazon transition zone. Subsequent field expeditions uncovered over 200 individual platforms, each measuring roughly 30 by 30 meters and elevated by a meter or more. The regularity of the layout points to a planned urban blueprint, perhaps intended for ceremonial gatherings or market activities. Pottery shards recovered from the edges of several platforms exhibit motifs similar to those found in the nearby pre-Inca cultures, suggesting possible cultural exchange or influence. While some scientists argue the grid could be a natural geomorphological pattern exaggerated by vegetation growth, the presence of intentional stone alignments and compacted soil layers supports an anthropogenic origin. Estimates of the labor required to construct the grid run into the tens of thousands of person-days, underscoring a level of social organization capable of mobilizing large labor forces in an environment often deemed inhospitable.
Hidden among the dense foliage of the Vale do Rio Grande, a series of massive rectangular platforms rise like islands in a sea of green. These platforms, uncovered through multispectral satellite analysis, extend up to 250 meters in length and are spaced at regular intervals along the river's floodplain. Researchers suggest they were constructed to serve as raised habitation zones, protecting inhabitants from the annual inundation that can reach several meters. The platforms are built from compacted earth reinforced with woven palm matting, a technique observed in other Amazonian flood adaptation sites. Charred wood fragments found within the core layers have been radiocarbon dated to between 800 and 1000 AD, placing the construction in the late pre-Columbian period. Some scholars propose that the platforms also functioned as ceremonial stages, given the discovery of ornamental stone fragments nearby. Whether residential or ritual, the sheer scale of these earthworks reveals a sophisticated response to the challenges of living in a dynamic riverine environment.
Recent LiDAR surveys over the upper Xingu Basin have revealed a network of earthen mounds, some exceeding 20 meters in height and spaced in deliberate geometric patterns across a 40-kilometer stretch. These mounds appear to be intentionally constructed, with stratified layers of compacted soil, organic material, and occasional stone facings, indicating a long-term building process. The arrangement of the mounds aligns closely with the solstitial sunrise points, hinting at possible astronomical significance. Excavations at select sites have uncovered burial chambers containing pottery and ornamental shells, suggesting the mounds served both as ceremonial platforms and elite burial sites. While some local legends attribute the formations to natural hillocks, the consistent orientation and construction techniques argue for human agency. Estimates based on soil volume suggest that moving the required earth would have required coordinated labor from thousands of individuals over multiple generations, pointing to a complex societal structure capable of sustained, large-scale construction.
Researchers employing ground-penetrating radar across the Purus Basin have mapped a series of concentric earth rings, each spanning up to 500 meters in diameter and separated by narrow gaps of untouched forest. The rings consist of raised earth embankments, occasionally reinforced with timber pilings, forming what appears to be a massive, organized drainage system. Soil analysis indicates a high proportion of clay mixed with organic matter, a composition that would retain water and prevent erosion during the region's heavy rains. Some archaeologists propose the rings were used for fish farming, creating enclosed basins that could be stocked during flood season, while others suggest they demarcated sacred ceremonial spaces. Radiocarbon dates from charcoal embedded within the embankments place their construction roughly between 900 and 1300 AD, though the exact chronology remains under investigation. The sheer scale, requiring the movement of millions of cubic meters of earth, implies a society with the capacity to mobilize and sustain large labor forces deep within the jungle.
Aerial drone footage captured an intricate system of causeways snaking along the Tocantins ridge, linking isolated high-ground settlements across a span of nearly 120 kilometers. These causeways, built from compacted earth and reinforced with stone slabs at regular intervals, rise just enough above the surrounding swampy terrain to remain passable during the wet season. Their construction required careful engineering to prevent subsidence, as evidenced by the layered foundation of gravel and crushed stone beneath the surface. Artifacts recovered from small caches along the routes, such as obsidian blades and carved wooden figurines, suggest the causeways facilitated not only trade but also ceremonial pilgrimages. Some scholars argue the routes were defensive, allowing rapid troop movement, while others emphasize their role in integrating disparate communities. Regardless of purpose, the extensive labor and planning involved demonstrate a high degree of societal organization capable of coordinating large infrastructure projects across challenging topography.
LiDAR mapping of the Amazonian lowlands has uncovered a sprawling network of artificial canals cut into the swampy terrain, extending for over 200 kilometers and connecting isolated forest islands to major river arteries. These canals, averaging 3 meters in width and up to 2 meters in depth, appear to have been excavated using simple wooden tools, yet their precision and uniform gradient suggest a sophisticated understanding of water flow dynamics. The canals likely served multiple functions, facilitating canoe transport, providing fish-rich breeding grounds, and aiding in the drainage of flood-prone areas for agriculture. Charred remains of cultivated plant species found in the sediment layers point to sustained agricultural activity along the canal banks. While some researchers caution that natural river meanders could account for portions of the pattern, the consistent straight sections and deliberate junctions strongly indicate human modification. The scale of earthmoving required underscores a coordinated effort involving large labor groups, challenging the notion that Amazonian societies were solely small, nomadic groups.
Expedition teams equipped with high-resolution satellite imagery have identified a series of stone alignments perched on the ridgelines of the Sierra del Divisor, each stone positioned with an accuracy that suggests intentional placement rather than random scatter. The alignments run in straight lines for up to 2.5 kilometers, intersecting at points that correspond closely with major celestial events such as equinoxes and solstices. Some of the stones bear shallow carvings resembling glyphs, though erosion has rendered many of the markings indecipherable. Archaeologists hypothesize that the alignments functioned as astronomical observatories, allowing ancient peoples to track seasonal changes crucial for agricultural planning. Radiocarbon dating of organic material trapped in the mortar between stones yields ages ranging from 700 to 1200 AD, indicating prolonged use over several centuries. While alternative theories propose the stones served as territorial markers, the astronomical precision observed supports a ceremonial or calendrical purpose.
Scientists employing a combination of satellite radar and on-the-ground surveys have documented what may be the largest known earthwork complex in the Amazon, the Great Basin Megastructures, a series of massive rectangular enclosures covering an area roughly equivalent to a small city. Each enclosure measures between 150 and 300 meters on a side, with perimeter walls rising up to 4 meters high, constructed from compacted earth and reinforced with timber frameworks. Within the enclosures, researchers have identified concentric terraces, central plazas, and evidence of water management systems such as channels and reservoirs. The sheer volume of displaced earth suggests the mobilization of tens of thousands of workers over several generations. Artifacts recovered, including polished stone tools, ornamental beads, and pottery, point to a complex society with extensive trade networks reaching far beyond the basin. While some debate persists regarding the exact chronology, preliminary dating places the primary construction phase between 900 and 1500 AD. The magnitude of these structures reshapes our understanding of the social and political capabilities of pre-Columbian Amazonian cultures.
The Amazon's hidden earthwork networks remind us how much of human ingenuity remains concealed beneath the jungle's green veil, offering fresh clues about ancient societies that reshaped the landscape on a massive scale. If you enjoyed this journey through forgotten engineering, subscribe so you don't miss the next one. New mind-blowing lists every week. Which of these massive networks fascinated you most? Tell me in the comments below. And if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up to support the channel.